Let's make your first piece. And if you never made a hand building piece, that's okay. We're gonna get step by step. So what I'm making on this video, it's a bowl like that. That could be either an ice cream bowl, a dessert bowl, a small little bowl, a coffee cup. As we start making it, I'll show you what you should shape and change to create different types of bowls. Or you can just really let clay talk to you, and whatever wants to be created can be created. So to start with, I could use a wire cutter, and if I was using a wire cutter, I would just come down and bring it out like that. And that gives me a little square. Different people, different hand sizes, different pinched bowls, but go to something that's not way bigger than your hands to make it easier. Even smaller can be better, but I want to show if you don't have a wire cutter, it's totally fine. You just come in and get what would be like a handful of clay. And after we get some clay, what I want to do is create a bowl, like a circle, a shape that's as even as possible. And for that, I'm going to just be tapping my clay, and I welcome you in this part of the process to start feeling and noticing what is the moisture of your clay like, what is the texture of your clay like. And really what I'm going to be doing, to me, now that I have a bit of intimacy with clay, it's a bit of a touch and feel. So with my thumb, I'm trying to smooth any possible big cracks or things as such. And with this movement, I'm just letting my hands imprint into the clay. And because I'm holding my hand like a little round shape, it just starts transforming the clay. And I can feel, even without looking, where there's a little corner that will get softer with my hands. But you can also look at it and just be playful, you know. It's not to get too serious about it. It's really connecting with the material, feeling its energy, its texture. And sometimes you can feel that often an outside part of the clay that was in the block can be a bit harder than the inside. So you just try to really notice what you have in your hand and start connecting with it. So right now, I have a very even piece to start. If you are still shaping, I would recommend you to pause, finish the shape, and then we start together the next steps. But basically that's what we're looking for. Just a circle. And I aim to take off with my fingers any big cracks or things as such. And you could use your table if you have a table to finish, but I really recommend on this first experience, try to use just your hands as much as possible. So here, what I got is just a little bit of canvas that I cut. And the reason for the canvas is most of the surfaces would be too sticky, whether it's a metal tray, whether it's a plate. Unless you have a little wooden bed, a little bit of wood, you could use that. Otherwise, any piece of cloth would do. Just keep in mind that wherever you put your clay, the texture will imprint into the clay because it's super soft. Just so you know, and doesn't become a surprise later. Let's open some space here. Now, you hold your piece of clay firmly, and you're gonna come with your thumb and press in. And I don't want to press all the way down. What I do is I move a little bit and I keep pressing, because in that way I'm really creating an even start, because we want to create an even bowl. So I keep holding and pressing and gently moving my piece, and I want to show you how is it looking on the inside so far. So it's a very simple shape to start with and doesn't really look like anything's happening. But you can notice as we keep going now, everything starts to transform. So what I'm doing with my hands is I'm supporting on the outside as I press on the inside. And it's nothing too strong or too drastic. A small movements as I keep flipping and touching. So you can see I'm pressing, and many times the pressing happens from the outside instead of the inside. But I really invite you on this first piece to just feel. There is no right or wrong. It will be your first contact with making a piece in that way. So just keep moving. You can see that you can get in a bit of a rhythm, as if it was like music-like. You just gradually keep moving like that. Or you can just put your piece down and really move. The reason why I like having something like that is see how I can easily move my piece. If it was on something else, it would be stuck. Otherwise, if I'm moving the piece, it would be a bit of a wobbly move, and that's not ideal. So in that way, I can really move. I'll bring it up just so then it's a bit easier to talk through. So here. So then you find your height. Now that I have a little bit of an opening, still really thick, I want to just gently look after the ends, and I like coming with my finger, and the technical term for that is compressing the edge, and that's really what we're doing. We're just pushing it a little bit because you might see that there are little cracks trying to form. So very gentle. If at any time I see little cracks, I gently just come with my thumb and my fingers and smooth it. This clay, by the way, is a paper clay, smooth. So you can't even see the paper, but it has little bits of paper. I really like paper clay for beginners, for experienced, like people working with clay with lots of experience. I find it's a very versatile clay, but that said, different brands have different textures and different feels. Mine, as you can see, is really, really soft and smooth. So see what you find, what you have access to. And now we're going to really start shaping this piece. One thing that always happens with bows, and that's okay if it happens with you, they tend to open. So the natural tendency as we start pinching it is that will become an open bow. But if I don't want that to happen, I just really get mindful with each movement, and I try to guide it up more than out. And the way that I personally like to do is come from the bottom to the top and kind of pinch, 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 pinch. So here's what I'm doing. I'm pinch, 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 and then I move my piece a little bit. And my goal is work all the surfaces. So I'm just gradually moving it. The idea is not getting there too quick. There is no real rush here. I probably am way faster than you are, just because I've been doing that for a while, but don't rush. Take your time. And if you feel like you are a little bit behind me in this process, you just pause and then get to the level that I am, and we can keep going together. I'm mindful that some little cracks are starting to happen here, very hairline. So I'll just come back and look after. And the reason why I do that is because it's way easier to control these little weak spots during the whole process than to let for the very end of the piece. So now, what I want to emphasize is that's how the piece is looking so far. A very cute start. And to me is a thick piece, but depending on what you're making could be the thickness that you're looking for. But I can see that in here the piece is still quite thick. So what I'll do is I have a surface that's firm. I'm gonna press like that in the center, and I'll flip. Press and flip. Press and flip. That's also compressing the bottom of the piece, so it's making that strong. And now coming from that end, I'm pressing and smoothing and lifting it gently. So all the movements are very gentle, but as you see, you put your intention and it happens. It's very delicate, yet very sensitive too. You don't need much pressure, it starts changing the shape. So here's how it's looking. You can just see it looks very much like the same, but I know by looking here that I probably have around 7 millimeters. It's not precise, but we don't want less than 5 millimeters or more than 1 centimeter, otherwise it gets a bit heavy. And now start working on the ends here. So just very gently pressing the lip of your piece, and again being mindful to push it up and out, not just out, unless you really want to create an open shape or you just let your piece guide you. I will just keep talking on the way that I think is the most likely to create a shape that's more like a cup, can hold liquid and things as such. But that said, if the piece opens up and wants to transform, it's totally fine too. So now what I'm gonna do is, coming with my fingers, I'm gonna just feel if there is any thicker spot that I would like to work. It feels quite even, but I feel like right on this line here, it's a bit thick, so I'm gonna press it up. So what I'm doing from the inside is like that. So I'm pressing, I'm supporting on the outside and kind of rubbing it up. And that makes me able to really drag some clay with these movements. And that's why in the beginning I prefer using absolutely no tools, just your fingers, to really get in touch with the material that you're working and move around. So now we're taking some shape. I'm looking after any minor little cracks on the outside, and I'm gonna get now into the shape, what will be very much the final shape for me. And as I'm just like, again, pressing and lifting very gently, trying to move throughout the piece, just to show you as well, if you don't have a bending wheel or a cake stand or anything like that, it's totally fine to just do on the table. I would just drop a little bit so I'm a bit closer to it, and see, I just move the whole thing, and I can work a little bit like on the end, and then I move. So you gradually keep shaping your piece and noticing where it's taking you. In front of me, where you would be if I'm looking at you, I actually have a mirror that I use for my work, and I find really nice, so then I can have the exact vision that you're having, because otherwise I just can see from the top. So if you want to see how the shape is actually looking, it's important that you bring it up to your eye level, so then you can really notice what's the direction that your piece is going. I'll bring it back here. So now I'm gonna really feel my piece a bit more. And one thing that I wanted to tell is, as you're making something out of ceramic for the first time, one thing that's quite interesting is whatever size you're looking at is not the size that your piece is going to finish, because clay can shrink quite a lot in the kiln, from 10 to 20%, often averaging around like 12%. So whatever you're making, let's say that you wanted to get a cup like that size, which is quite similar, but you would need to make very much a pot of that size to get to this size. So whatever you're making, just make it bigger and kind of bulkier, if you know what you're looking for. And just a funny one is, like, when I started making ceramics, I really loved drinking like just double espressos. It's like, oh, I'm gonna make myself a double espresso cup. So I made a little beautiful little pinched cup, and I had no idea when it came out of the kiln for its second firing, it was so little that looked more like a tea set kind of pot. And the other one that I made thinking that would be like a really big cappuccino mug kind of thing, or a tea mug, it was just appropriate for a double espresso. So that's totally fine, it happens. But I'm just telling you now, so then you can avoid that if you want to. So now look, my cup is looking quite good. I quite like the shape. It's getting to the part of really just refining it. And I'm gonna show you what I often do is I don't even change the edges. If there is a little bit that's a bit lower, I often just bring it up. But just for reference, I want to show as well how to cut the top and make it really even if that's what you want. Before I do that, I'll just feel the inside. If there is, or around here, I can feel that there is a little thicker spot. So I'm gonna gently press it a bit more. And I'm pressing like that, and there is a little gentle lift. So looking at it now, I'm quite happy with it. I'll just change the shape a little bit more on this line, because it looks like there's a bit of an angle. But you see, each hand has different movements, each person has a different style, so really gonna depend on you. It will be an expression of you now. And if you wanna make it very leveled, so then, let's say it's more enjoyable to drink out of, you can really just use a knife, any knife, and cut it off. I personally quite like to leave it uneven, because I even find that when we're gonna drink out of a cup that has a gentle uneven on the top, it becomes a mindfulness process. You're actually looking at your cup and thinking, which little bit I would like to drink from, but that's just my personal experience. So what I'll do when I wanna cut it is, you can simply just create a little mark and spin your piece, like that. And then the important thing is, if you're ever gonna cut the top of your piece, choose what angle you wanna have your knife and you maintain in that angle. I'm gonna try a straight cut here, and you can see that the clay is a bit soft still at this moment. So as a beginner, first time touching clay, I would give it something like 15 minutes, half an hour, depending on the weather, if it's dry or wet, to let it firm a little bit, so it'll be easier. Did you see that I was supporting the outside as I'm cutting? So then the shape doesn't change too much. Now it's all looking a bit poorly cut. So what I'll do is, I'll come with my fingers and I just press that little sharp edge that was created by the knife, and I go gently throughout the piece. And most of the times you notice that whatever movement you're doing, you're gonna do it like a couple of times at least. So you have a chance, you don't need to get it perfect on the first go. So just using my fingers, because imagine now that will be a cup and you're gonna be drinking out of it. So we want it to be curved and gentle. So when it comes to meet your lip, it will be gentle. And now I'll just keep that same motion that we had before, pinching, making it nice and gentle, a transition that will feel like easy for the liquids to run out of it, let's say. But that said, to me, making pinched pots, pinched bowls, it's a very therapeutic process. I really get into it, and I really like to make things like little ice cream bowls or dessert bowls or little appetizers kind of shapes. So it doesn't need to be a drinking vessel. It can very much be a little something, a little bowl. Often the piece will tell you what was when you don't know exactly what you're creating and you're letting the clay decide. So now, when I look at it, it looks quite even. I'll show you from the inside. I can feel that I still have some clay here that I could lift and bring up if I wanted to. So let me just do it a little bit, give a little bit more height to it. And what I'm doing is, again, on the inside, doing like that and holding and supporting with the outside. Because if I do not support on the outside, it will open up. And I can even show you. So if I do not support too much and I keep opening, see how we can transform this shape in a few movements and open up a lot. Because as I said before, it really likes to open up. It's the tendency of the shape. So here we transform. And then if I want to open even more, let's say that my goal is really opening, I can create a little tool with my hand and just gently move it up. Even though I want to open it now, I'm still supporting on the outside. So as you saw, I had a completely finished cup, but I can still transform it and make more of a dessert bowl. And I want to show you, in case you have it and you want it, just a simple one tool that you could use, which is a sponge. This one is a specific clay sponge, but could be any sponge. The difference with the clay sponges is they are more like a makeup sponge. They're really fine and soft, so they won't imprint much on the clay. And what you would do is very gently just soften up the ends. And if you don't have a sponge, you could just get a little bit of water, very little, and just pass here on the lip and come with your fingers, because you see and you feel, as you come with a little bit of water, the way that your fingers move with the clay is very different. But I want to let you know to be very mindful of how much water you put in, because often beginners in general, and I've been there, have a tendency of creating little cracks, overworking the clay and trying to fix with water. And often what water does is it allows more movement, but if there is any cracks or any real weak spots, it's gonna accentuate it. So keep your water usage in your first pieces to low to no. And if you're gonna use the sponge as well, just very little. But I just wanted to give you this option so you have it. But basically, we have a more open pinched pot. And here, with the other one that was made before, is a bit of a taller pinched pot. And same idea. I worked on the ends of them, on the rims, so then they are nice and soft. And I can definitely change the shape to many ways. I would like to show, I have a little one that I made the other day, which is uneven on the top, and it's a bit thicker because that's the feeling that I wanted to give. And I would recommend for you starting, don't try to make it too thin because it gets weaker. Keep it a bit thicker. And this one here, it's a bit taller and higher. So you can create many different shapes with the same technique. I just wanted to welcome you to this process in a simple way so you can get started, you can play around. And it's often really good to make another one, to have another go, you know. Because when you are learning something new, I find that the first one gets to be quite challenging because it's completely new. We bring a little bit of a nervous energy and looking for perfection on that first piece. And the best thing is just relax about it. And let's say that was your first piece and for whatever reason you didn't like it. It's clay. You can just smash it and start it again. And that's totally fine. So if that happens to you, you made a piece, you didn't like it, you can just start it again. Just be mindful that if your piece has been drying for a little bit and you're gonna start again, you notice that your piece is gonna get lots of cracks. And if that is happening, what I would recommend is, the clay often comes in a bag. Just get something like a sponge or cloth and put around it and put it back inside of the bag. So then when you get your clay again, it's soft and is not cracking. Because if your clay is cracking right from the beginning, it's dehydrated. It's not ready for what we want, which is shaping it. So that's important to notice, because otherwise, if you get a bit of clay and as soon as you start touching it, it's a bit harder and is dehydrated, it needs more moisture, it's likely that you have a frustrating experience with shaping it. So again, just start again, make a new piece, and don't look for perfection. Just look really for presence, to be here, to be in this process. If you like listening to music, put some music on and go with it. If you have any doubts, just watch the video again and we can make it again. Sometimes just even watching, not even necessarily listening, can be really cool, because those movements go to our subconscious mind. So then when you come back to it, it's a very different experience. And you see, whatever is going on in your mind or your emotions, it will come out through the clay. So if you're having a good day, it's likely that will be easier. If you're having a not so good day, it's likely that will come out through the clay. And just take that as a capacity of heal that clay has with it, and come back another day if today is not the day for you. But come back again, even if it was and if it was not, because from teaching, I noticed on the first day that we learn something, it's actually a bit harder than on the second day. So when you come, say tomorrow, even like later on the day, but often tomorrow after you had a sleep, you can really see how everything just comes easier to you. So just give yourself a go. If you have any questions, just send me a message, take a picture of anything that happened that maybe wasn't as expected, and I'll let you know what was or what was not. But again, we're not looking for perfection, we are looking for this connection. And I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you have fun making some pinch pots, and the sky is the limit with pinching and this technique, but starting simple can be really powerful and really beautiful. So I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you in another video.